Hello everyone, and welcome to another one of Demo's construction suggestion videos. Now, before I continue with today's subject, I will have to state I have some Factorio content planned for you guys in the near future. It shouldn't be that bad, it's only like 5 or so videos. Though I will also have to state my content has slowed down due to the fact that I'm in college right now and currently not working a job, so hooray! College debt! Anyways, back on today's topic, everyone. Now, I have spotted a problem with the Bastion in-game. Now, I know I've spotted a few of them, but hear me on this one. The Bastion really has no real counter for it, at least for randoms on the ground. I know people are going to say, why don't you get into ESF and fly up and go shoot it? Let's be honest, 98% of the players on this game do not fly because they aren't used to Planetside 2 controls for flying, and the Bastion will not encourage them to fly up there and fight it when it has highly trained pilots protecting them most of the time. In fact, its only other real counter is another outfit that's willing to pull together a airball, another Bastion, or a bunch of Colossuses down on the ground, all firing up at it. Now, originally I was going to complain about how the Colossus tank was overpowered in base fights, but after getting into a few fights with the Colossus being pulled against a player base, and the player base actually having actual players there to defend it, I realized I needed to rewrite my script and video. Yep. So, we're not going to talk about that one. But anyways, back on track, it still seems like the Bastion is this roaring problem for randoms down on the ground. I mean, they have no real ability to fight back against these juggernauts of the sky. In fact, this problem is so prevalent, you could probably find one or many, in fact many screenshots of the TR or Vonu or even the New Conglomerate Bastions just flying to the opposite side of the map and just farming up kills because they don't really have any threats to them to speak of. How is this adding to the gameplay of the game? In any case, I don't think the answer here would be giving players the ability to have a one-player operated weapon that would strictly counter Bastions and other multiplayer group effort amplifiers. It just doesn't seem right, and it would be kind of counter-conducive to that. That said, I do believe random players should have one or two options available to them in order to address this problem. One dealing with construction, and another that would be a specialized vehicle that they could pull from an amp station or a tech plant, kind of like an MBT of sorts, for just a scenario that would be multi-person crew to counter this. Now onto the first suggestion, the construction one. Now it would be interesting if we could give players the ability to build a scaled up version of the Colossus's main battle cannon. One that could probably do 2 or 3 times as much damage per shell as the Colossus tank could ever do. Furthermore, we can also increase this cannon's maneuverability so it can aim at the ground as well as the skies. Though we can also give it some disadvantages where, like, every shell it fires, it eats up about 1,000 cordium from the silo. At that rate, it doesn't take very long to drain a silo of all of its cordium. Furthermore, we can add a delay charge up for each shot. Probably something as long as a Lancer shot, like fully charged up. And then we can also increase its footprint to make it rather large and difficult to cover for a base. Finally, if it were to be destroyed, it could blow up with the force of 2 or 3 orbital strikes hitting that base equivalent, which would level any base. So it would be a high risk, high reward fact in that perspective. Oh, and before I forget, since I seem to have already missed my line, in order to prevent these cannons from just being spammed out on every player base on the map, we can increase the minimum build distance required between two of them to be twice that of an orbital strike or more. That way the Bastions can't just fly across the map and start farming up kills because, well, there'll be probably a threat lying around there somewhere, but there will be not enough of them to just make the Bastion completely obsolete altogether. Heck, if we really wanted to, we could probably say we could only build one of these mega cannons, one per tile on the map or per other tile on the map. Something of that sort. Now, the real advantage to these Mac cannons would be they would stop Bastions from just flying across the map and farming random kills and keep them more aligned at fighting at their front line. They'd also would help spread the fight out a bit more, because attacking forces that wish to move their Bastion or heavy-duty forces in would actually have to clear out the player base before they can move on to the main developer base, else they take extra losses because of neglecting enemy defenses. And honestly, it just grants everyone a new tool to play with on the battlefield. And who doesn't want that? Now for the second suggestion, everyone, I would like you to imagine just for a moment a 6-legged walker about the size of a regular Sunderer that has an artillery piece on its back and a regular Sundy turret on its front. This, my friends, is what I would like to see roaming on the fields of Araxius. Now take these walking artillery pieces of ours that we have now envisioned and give them several different firing modes. One for basic artillery for suppressing enemy forces from afar while remaining highly vulnerable to assault up close and personal. 2. A charge up mode that would fire like a Colossus tank, though vastly weaker than one of them. And 3. A overcharge mode that would basically get closer to firing half the shell of a Colossus tank, but not fully, while also doing about 33% damage to the unit itself. Furthermore, these walkers would only be able to carry about 5 to 7 people, with 1 driver, 1 gunner for the main cannon, and 1 gunner for the secondary gun, with 2 to 4 rear seats available for passengers to ride along with it. Along with all that said, these walkers would be highly vulnerable to enemies attacking them due to the fact that they're not very heavily armored. They're artillery pieces, not frontline combatants like a tank is. So, even though they're very good to have an armor squadron, they can be quite easily picked off if not protected. Now, to address why would we make it a walker versus another tank, well, that's simple. It makes these vehicles stand out like a sore thumb, kind of giving them their own identity, versus just having another tank on the battlefield. Next, why would we implement such a tool on the battlefield? Since it sounds very complicated. Well, that's easy. This tool gives players the ability, in groups of 2 or 3, get together with another random and actually try to fight against a larger group, which then later turns into friendships, which can turn into outfits down the road, and help promote growth in the community. Yes, outfits could actually use these same vehicles too, and probably even a better extension than that of randoms could ever do. But it's the idea that you're giving players, in fact all players, the ability to fight back against a larger group no matter what the odds. It's just having the opportunity at all to do it. Forcing players to get into ESF or some kind of aircraft to fight a Bastion or get into a Colossus tank with another outfit is just going to scare more players away from the game in general, and anger those that do stick around that just don't have access to these equipment. In any case, this is all just food for thought, and we could keep going down this thought train for a while. And I would like to see tools be made available for players to tackle any problem at any scale, despite being a clear numbers disadvantage. In any case, that's all I have for you guys today, and thank you for listening to me if you still are, and have a good day.